Hi, this is one of my new shortboard models. I'm calling it the 1985 model. Now, this is what I used to ride back then. This one's 6'6", 20 and a half, and it's 2 7/8 thick. Now, the characteristics of this board and boards of that period, as you can see here with the rocker, it's got quite a flat tail curve, quite a flat entry curve, which meant these boards went really fast through really bad waves and good waves. But it's the sort of board you used to be able to ride all the way through, right through to shore, when length of ride was an important thing. One thing that a lot of people used to say about these sort of boards is they were really hard to fall off. They were so forgiving. Now, we'll just come up with a few of the characteristics of this board. Now, as you can see here, even though it's got a bit of a nice sort of spray, normally I used to do this board just plain white because there was a lot of plain white boards. Now, the bottom shape on it, it just has the basic slight V in the nose, okay, which makes it really forgiving. It goes between the centre and the nose, still a slight V. In the centre, just again, still a slight V. And between your front foot and back foot, 1/4 inch V. And then right here, behind the back foot, just over a 1/4 inch V, so the V increases as it goes out. Now, the rocker in this board is super flat. It's got 1.5 inch tail lift, so the curve from here right through to there means you get lots of speed. Now, it's got a flat entry curve as well, so that means it doesn't curve right down like boards in the late 80s and early 90s had, where they had those massive nose lift. It's only got about 4 3/4 inch nose lift. Some of the boards in the 90s got up to about 6 inches, which is about there, and which didn't run real well in bad waves. Now, this one's made for a guy in the 90 kilo range, and he's just in late 40s, and I let him my actual board, and as soon as he rode it, he just said that it feels great, easy to ride, just like the boards did in the 80s. Now, I'll flip it over to show you the top. Now, the characteristics of these boards at that period too, reasonably flat deck and a really chunky round rail. Now, basically, when you're doing cutbacks, Rios, and a lot of the surfers at that period, guys like Occy, who was my favourite, just used to bury the rail really hard with so much power. And to do that, you really need a full rail. If you had these really fine rails that some people are using, it'd just catch and be too, you'd fall off straight away. So this is for power surfing, these sort of full rails, and it makes it forgiving as well. As you can see with the foil, really thick right through to the tip of the tail, and we'll just run back up the nose again and show the characteristic of the foil. A lot of meat up this front part, and you can see here it's got the beaked nose as well. What happened in the late 80s, instead of bringing that top bit down, they started keeping the deck like that, and then they brought the bottom up, and that was the only difference when they got rid of the beaked nose. But this lends itself to keeping that entry curve really flat. And as you can see, it's got plenty of meat. Great board for doing floaters, great board if you want to catch a wave from out the back and ride it all the way through. It runs through flat sections. The reason I think this is such a good board is if you look at the models we're doing now, I've got one in particular called the Time Machine. And basically, if you chopped off, probably 4 inches off the tail of this, and then same with the nose, took off a bit, you've got the guts of what a Time Machine is, and that's probably one of my best selling models at the moment. So this particular board, I wanted to recreate it again now and make it available, because there's a lot of guys out there and girls that they just don't want a full nose. They might want the shortboard nose, but this particular board, it's my favourite out of any board I've ever owned in my life. And I think a lot of guys and girls that remember the old days when you used to be able to go right out on the face and do that big roundhouse cutback and coming back and hitting the foam, that's what you can do on this, because it's got the flat curve. So the only difference, obviously, in those days we had all fixed fins, so I've made it a bit more modern by using the plugged in fins. As well as that, I'm given the option with the quad, so this one will have quads as well, because you can take that out and try it as a quad if you want it to be a bit looser. But yeah, we're calling this one 1985. It's done just in 4 ounce all over, so it's pretty light, but it's very similar to what a lot of pros were actually riding in that 84, 85 sort of period. So yeah. This one is 1985.